Listeners of RRI World Service, Voice of Indonesia, Colombia and Indonesia has established bilateral relationship for a long time, and here we have an opportunity to have a special interview with Miss Claudia Lopez, Charge d'Affaires of Colombian Embassy in Jakarta. Hello, Miss Claudia Lopez. How are you?
Hello, thank you for this opportunity. Hello to all the people of Voice of Indonesia.
Okay, thank you. Miss Claudia, Colombia has become one of the important countries in the diplomacy of Indonesia in South America. And Colombia is also one of the countries with the largest economy in the region. We appreciate the Francisco de Paula Santander's Law and Democracy Award given to the ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to Colombia last May from the Colombian Society of Press and Mass Communication. And it has been established. The relationship between Indonesia and Colombia has been established for a long time, since 1980, and the two countries have signed 7 instruments of cooperation in various fields. For example, in agriculture, education, and also consular, anti-narcotics, and many others. How can this encourage cooperation between the two countries?
It is correct, all that you mentioned. It's not only about the one we already signed, we also have at least 3 more MOU in process. Still discussing the details. But yes, Colombia and Indonesia, even though we're very far away, we are also very close when it comes to mutual interest. We identify many sectors where we can work together. As you mentioned, we have an MOU in agriculture, and we were also participating in the COPC, which is one of the biggest mechanisms related to palm oil. That's a common interest that we have. Indonesia is the first one producer of the palm oil. Colombia is the fourth one.
Okay, how do you see cooperation opportunities in the two countries whose products are almost identical? For example, coffee.
I don't think it will be a competition. This is a way to learn from each other the best experience. Also, we had an opportunity when the Minister of Agriculture went to Colombia, and you can tell that we have very similar geography as well, the mountains, the volcano, the Pacific, the Atlantic. So what we can do is to learn from each other and to see the best practices for the agriculture, especially because also in Colombia we have the difficulty to get to access to some remote areas. And in these specific places in the region is where you can learn from the expertise from other countries like Indonesia, where you also have this challenge to reach to the remotest areas, and how the small farmers can improve without having the technology or the knowledge for have better quality of their products.
Yeah. How do you see the trading performance, for example, in business and investment of Indonesia and Colombia?
I think this is. I hope it will be a long distance. Will be with a vision of. It's not something that you can tell right away. This is a bet for the future, and something that you learn when you live in Indonesia is to be patient, very patient. So the trade today might not be so significant compared with other countries, but this is the investment and the bet that Colombia is doing in Indonesia, and same for Indonesia. Because, for instance, I'm going to give you an example. Colombia have beautiful flowers, but somehow Indonesia has this smell, powerful smell with the flowers. So imagine if we combine the beauty and the smell for the flowers. Indonesia works a lot with silver as well, but Colombia is very has a lot of knowledge about the design, so you can complement each other. Same for the designs with the fabrics, and a lot of other topics where the two countries can benefit.
So there are new opportunities for economic and trade cooperation between the two countries,
Yes, yes, and also we have an office here that is called Pro Colombia. This office is the one that is in charge about getting new markets, dealing with the business people. Last year, with the Pacific Alliance, that is the countries of Chile, Mexico, Peru, and Colombia, we held a seminar with more than 100 business people.
Oh, yeah. Where in Colombia or in
It was
Indonesia?
here in
In
Jakarta.
Jakarta. Oh.
So we were having a meeting in at the Westin Hotel,
Yeah.
and there was more than 100 businessmen from Indonesia that they were interested to see what were the opportunities in the opposite side of the world, and that was very successful. Yesterday as well, we held a meeting with all the 10 members of ASEAN uh, with Pacific Alliance. So we are exploring new markets, new opportunities, and also the free mobilization of people between the countries, new opportunities. We're working really hard on it.
Okay, and how do you see the trading? Oh, sorry, can you tell us how Colombia views Indonesia? How do you introduce Indonesia and its tourism to Colombia?
The biggest island in the world with 70,500 islands. So this is paradise. This is where people comes to spend their honeymoons. So I think that's the best introduction for everyone who is aiming to look for new destinations.
Okay, so uh, Indonesia is a good place.
It is indeed, and we also have really good relationship with your ambassador back in Bogota,
Yeah.
and as a way to represent or express our gratitude or the good relationship that we have with Indonesia, you don't need visa to go to Colombia.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, that's also a reciprocity that we hope very soon also happen with Indonesia. Unfortunately, if someone from Colombia wants to come to visit your country, they need to apply for a visa. So, but it's not the case for Indonesian people who wants to go to Colombia.
Okay. In addition to visa free, is there any cooperation in terms of tourism cooperation between Indonesia and Colombia?
We're working in different areas, different fields, but the first one, the one that we actually feel the impact is for diplomatic and official passport. Colombian people don't need to apply for a visa, but for the most of the Colombian people, and that's the one we're really looking for to get the visa exception. That's the one that we need to look for.
Okay. Is there any special hope for the Colombian government to Indonesia? Special hope from the Colombian government to Indonesia?
What do you mean?
Yeah. Is there any special hope? You hope that the relationship between Indonesia and Colombia will be.
We hope that Indonesia really take a closer look to Colombia, because we have improving in so many areas, so many fields, and they take seriously every time that we ask you to note for the reciprocity about the visa exemption. That is something that is not helpful
Yeah.
between the relationships in two countries, especially when you open the doors for someone and then you realize this other someone, in this case Indonesia, has the door closed for Colombian people. So I think that's our bigger concern and our biggest hope as well, that soon President Jokowi or the person who is in charge will finally say, Colombian people, you're more than welcome to come to Indonesia and no need for visa.
Okay. Now we are talking about investment. Are there many investors from Colombia in Indonesia?
We're exploring this area. This week, we have also business people coming to Indonesia from Colombia, and also in the pharmaceutical sector. That's a very, very important field where we're working. Also exploring an MOU in health. Yes, there's many people. There's is very slow, but it's still going on.
Yeah. Are there any complaints from Indonesian business actors to serve in Colombia? Is there any difficulty for Indonesian business people
Not
to?
that we are aware, as I mentioned before, and um, let me be very clear about this. The only issue, the only concern that we have at this moment with Indonesia is about visa, because only to give you an example,
Yeah.
2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, 91 countries removed the requirement for visa to Colombian people. 91. So Colombian people doesn't need the Schengen to go to Europe. The US, they are giving us 10 years visa. And so we're we're working really hard with the Indonesian government. We're looking for opportunities to keep opening the doors for the Colombian people.
Are there many Colombian people here in Indonesia?
We have mostly business people, families.
Families.
That's what we have.
Okay. Is there any program, cooperation program in terms of education, for example?
We have many, we're working really hard about many comprehension areas. For instance, the courses of Español, Spanish, where Indonesian people go to Colombia to learn Spanish for 3-4 months. Everything is paid, everything is included. They go to different cities. Is more directed for students, for tourist people, like the agency travels, professors. So they go to Colombia, they spend their time there, they learn the Spanish, and then they come back. This is the kind of cooperation we're working right now. At least the one of the most significant, because from Indonesia is one of the countries that we always have most requests to go to Colombia to learn the Spanish.
Is there any program or strategy to improve socio-cultural relations between Indonesians and Colombians, in addition through the tourism sector?
About the cultural, I can tell you that we're working really close, and soon, in a month, we're going to have someone from the cultural sector that she will do a painting, a mural, for Jakarta. It's a gift that the Colombian government is giving to Jakarta, a painting. And then we were also having a lot of programs with Bandung, working really close with the universities, with the students. The Embassy of Colombia in Indonesia is nearby an university, Universitas Atmayaya, and we, from time to time, keep doing activities with them. Yes.
Okay. So we hope that the relationship between Indonesia and Colombia will be getting better and better.
We hope so. We hope so. That too, and you're always more than welcome. We have the feedback from Indonesian people about our country, and even though we have many things in similars, they always find something new. They're fascinated with the people, how people receive them, and how is Colombian people so open to learn about the Indonesian culture.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Ms. Claudia Lopez. Thank you for the opportunity for the interview. Well, listeners of Era Rebel Service Voice of Indonesia, that was the end of our special interview for today with Ms. Claudia Lopez, Charge d'Affaires of Colombian Embassy in Jakarta. Thank you very much.
Thank you.